Welcome to Rainbow Six Esports for Oceania in 2021. We're proud to share with you the timeline for our 2021 season and the format of our Oceanic leagues throughout the year. Through a sustainable approach to the region, we now have two clearly defined tiers and a proper flow through from our newly created Oceanic Challenger League to our returning Oceanic Nationals. Both leagues will meet for 3 stages in the year-long season, with participating teams accumulating points based on results from each stage. So how exactly will each stage be played out? We have 8 teams per league, playing single round robin best of ones with overtime. A regular win is rewarded with 3 points, while a loss gives 0. When the 2 teams fight up into overtime, the winner gets 2 points, while the loser gets 1. At the end of each stage, the top 5 teams will qualify into our new Gauntlet format playoffs, while the remainder of the teams will have their placements and points locked in. Playoffs for both OCN and OCL will be best of 3s, with best of 5 grand finals. At the conclusion of each stage, teams will be allocated points based on their final standings. For OCN teams, the conclusion of Stage 3 will show us which teams have earned enough points to enter a promotion relegation tournament and fight for a chance to enter the Asia Pacific Regional League, whereas OCL teams that accumulated enough points will have their promotion opportunity into the Nationals, OCN. For both OCN and OCL, the top teams from each league will compete in seasonal finals to be held on LAN, where we will crown a champion in each league. This will be a great opportunity to celebrate Rainbow Six Esports in Oceania and come together as a community. We will have more information on these events later this year. Ubisoft's commitment to the growth and sustainability of esports in the Oceanic region is higher than ever, with 2 exciting leagues of 8 teams, broadcasting over 9 months of the year, and direct pathways through to the coveted APAC League and ultimately the 6 Invitational. Opportunities are abundant for players in Oceania. You won't want to miss this exhilarating year of R6 Esports, so follow us at R6 Esports OCE to stay up to date with our season, support your favorite teams, and catch exciting content from the best players in Oceania.
I'm running out of time. I'm running on a feeling song. I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time. Feeling song. I'm running out of time. I'm running out. I'm so empty, so empty. I'm so
This could be huge. Manages to find them.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Oceanic Nationals is here to stay. It's stage 1 of 2021, and we couldn't be more excited. There's new faces, there's new formats, there's new pathways. There's all to go through. Myself, Manic, and of course, welcoming back Dev Marta. My friend, how are you doing?
I could not be happier to be here. The timer has run out of time, and man, what a product Ubisoft has put on this year for Oceanic Nationals. I am just so privileged to be a part of it. I am shaking right now with excitement. I just can't wait to get stuck in.
I know, we were kind of sitting back here with that theme song that was playing. It's an absolute banger. Clockwork by Northlane, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go and check it out, of course. You're going to be hearing a lot of that here with the Oceanic Nationals, and I think that in itself is an incredible initiative. I actually don't know how many esports have even dived into that kind of area, so that's already got me hyped. That's already got me with the jitters. They're gone, and we're here for the games, James. So, I mean, let's bring it down a notch for a second. So good to have you back on the broadcast. Of course, we've got Xenox and Guz, who are the other co-casters that we'll be working with throughout the season. Raven, unfortunately, has taken a step back, but he still joins us with the APAC South broadcasts. So just kind of wanted to get that out of the way. However, one of the big things that has changed this year, James, is our pathways into professional R6, which goes OCL, OCN, and APAC South. I don't know about you, that's pretty bloody incredible.
Yeah. One of the things that I find just so fantastic about 2021 for the Oceanic region is that, like you said, it's a pathway. It's not just a jump up, open qualifiers into something else. No, it's completely solid. We have so many really strong products. Obviously, Oceanic Nationals right now, the OCL as well, which is going to be fantastic when that starts up. APAC South already kicked off last week. We had a ball. We already saw the 4 Oceanic teams in that perform to mixed success. And now is their chance to showcase their skill as part of the Oceanic region. Completely fresh look. You'll see all the graphics redone. We have so much extra content as well coming your way, which, it's so funny. It's so good. I can't wait for you guys to see it. And it's such a development this year.
It literally has been a huge step up for us. The other thing, of course, it has been a step up. The prize pool, the money, the fame that comes with the OCN. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the breakdown. This is what we're playing for in stage 1 alone. Of course, there's 3 stages that need to be played out. 7K for first place, all the way down, tapering to a K each for 7th and 8th place. But of course, it's not just about money. A lot of this is about pride, James. And I think we learned that last year. And especially building on the back of Oceanic Nationals 6 Masters, kind of developing into what we have now, what we have prepared for us this year. The teams extremely competitive against each other.
100%. I was actually we're doing some interview tests. I was speaking with Oda from Team Bliss, and he reckons that the bottom 4 teams in this league are absolutely neck and neck. And even though he considers his team one of them, he reckons he can take the top 4. So it's anyone's game. Your household names like Wildcard, Elevate Knights, it doesn't matter whether it's those guys or the up-and-comers. Everyone has a shot, and not just at the money, at the pride, but also, and of course, at the end of the year, we're going to see that path to pro reshuffled, and teams can start to punch their tickets to the higher level leagues, which is such an exciting prospect.
It certainly is, and of course, that will come toward the end of this year, but this is where we have to start today. The schedule, ladies and gentlemen, for all of you looking at home, opening us up, Roflcopter and Rhythm. I am so keen for that. It is the relegation / promo match for OCN in 2020. They're now revisiting that matchup as we get into 2021. But moving forward, James, Elevator Knights, a rematch from the APAC South game on Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. And also a rematch from the OCN last season where we just saw the historical match played before this broadcast started. That went just in the favor of Knights. Of course, Order picking up Okami, a fantastic Australian org. I am so happy to have and welcome into our seat. Not only are they a fantastic organization, but their merch is swaggerlicious, and I can't wait to get my hands on some. Of course, going up against the Aussie team that has gone overseas before, Wildcard, and then LFO and Bliss at the end of it as well. Another Aussie org in Bliss joining our scene and debuting today, which I'm super keen for.
Yep, a couple of new faces. Organ Bliss, obviously, Order and Bliss, sorry, huge to get them on board for this one. And, 3 teams that are still looking for orgs. So, ladies and gents, if you're out there, if you're an org and you're looking to get involved, this could not be a better scene to do it in. But we'll have a look at the predictions. We'll have a look at what our so-called experts think of this. I do say very much quote-unquote experts there, Dev.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially because you've got people like Raven. Look, he's just praying in that first slide that he might hopefully get a couple of fixtures right. Yeah. And yeah, you've got obviously Guz, Xenox, yourself. You're looking very happy there. A nice little photo from the wrecked Oma Gauntlet we had. And Sky and Ducky as well on there as well. But you'll see there's a bit of variation in what people are actually predicting. Some games are a bit more clear-cut. For example, the Knights Elevate one. People seem to reckon that's going to go just like the game did on Thursday in APAC South, but we're seeing a bit of a 50-50 split on the Bliss LFO match, and even a little bit of debatability on the other two as well.
Yeah, I think Order and Wildcard, really hard one to predict. Wildcard, obviously, I think we need to very quickly just take a sidestep for a second. And unfortunately, with Wildcard circumstances, Diesel's had to take a step back. Obviously, everyone has been so supportive for that, but it has left them in the dark a little bit. Silex is stepping into that role. So that's why maybe if you haven't checked out what's going on recently with APAC South, that may be a little bit confusing to you. But believe me, there is a theory behind it. But let's just talk about it for a second. Xenox expecting Rhythm to come away with the win against RoflcopterGG. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's ambitious.
If anything, I'm actually surprised that the Rhythm RoflcopterGG one wasn't more split. I was going with Roffle, as I think most people were, because the most recent time these teams played was that relegation final where Roffle just barely won. But remember, that was a 2-1 scoreline, and earlier in that relegations bracket, Rhythm had already beat RoflcopterGG. So if you take a step back, look at the grand scheme of things, these teams are super closely matched. They always at least get one map in the series when they play against each other, and even within that same tournament, we saw one game go Rhythm, one game go Roffle. So while most people said Roffle there, and that's who I'm banking on, Rhythm totally have a chance, especially as both of these teams have had some roster changes, so it's definitely a fresh show for OCN.
It certainly is. I mean, I kind of wanted you to lean in a little bit there to Xenox, since he's the only damn person that's predicting that. I'm really disappointed in you there, Dev. I'm going to pitch it to you next time, and you know what? I'll talk about it behind the scenes. That way we can go hard on Xenox, because that's just exactly tee up and knock it away. See you later, Xenox. But no, that is, of course, our first matchup, ladies and gentlemen, RoflcopterGG and Rhythm. It most definitely is going to be a tight contest. Both of these teams are really looking for somewhat of a grudge match, you would have to say. Rhythm obviously being knocked down into OCL at the end of last year. Fortunately for them, unfortunately for us, we had one of the notable teams that we've always loved in the tier 1 scene, Maloncat, disband and decide to go and split ways, which has allowed Rhythm back into this pathway. So this contest right now, I would say, is neck and neck, just like you're saying there, Dev. I think there's plenty of reasons to talk for Rhythm's sake, but RoflcopterGG, on the other hand, I mean, these guys really surprised me in the relegation and promotion playoffs last year. And two new names coming, well, I say two new names to that roster. However, Hotshot and Bouncin', obviously you'd remember those names from OCN last year. So this roster has huge potential.
That's it. This roster is, in a way, a lot of, I don't want to use the term rejects, but players who have come through OCN and the Tier 1 in Oceania before. For example, Hotshot and Cynics both came from Elevate. Cynics as a coach, Hotshot as a player. Bouncin' actually came from Rhythm, so he's playing his former team. And you want to talk Rhythm for a second here. Almost every player here on RoflcopterGG has actually played on that Rhythm roster at some point. OJ, Campo, and Bouncin'. Boydie, the only one who's a bit of a fresh face, but really notorious within the scene for being such a strong fragger. And that's really the story of this team, I think. When it came to the Ocean relegation promotions at the end of last year, this team kind of came up out of nowhere. We hadn't seen a lot of them. It's not like this team had been around for years, but the players have. You grab all of those golden nuggets together and you put them into something that could potentially be a beautiful piece of jewelry and a serious contender here in OCN.
Well, something that is priceless and I would say timeless. Rhythm, they seem to keep coming back. They seem to keep clawing back from when we don't think they're even a shoe-in. Leb, Noveix, and Drex, obviously all three of this roster. We've seen them a fair bit. I would say a fair bit. They have been really great figureheads on this roster. Leb has been an absolute animal at times. Nova 9, sorry, had to do it to you, Riley. But obviously the two newer members on the roster, Ghoul and Supremacist there, I don't believe we've seen them in Tier 1 before. So really exciting for these two players to have this opportunity.
Yeah, that's it. From Ghoul's perspective, he has been in the scene for a really long time, very much a resident of the Oceanic Rainbow 16. He did play way back in the day. I believe it was the Summer Series, which was a couple years ago now. And Supremacist, very well-known player in the ranked and general comp community, just not necessarily has he taken that next step. So yes, Rhythm has had a chance to kind of rebuild after they did get relegated. They got that shoe in thanks to Meloncat disbanding, but you have a lot of experience on this roster. Leb and Yoshi have been here for ages. Noveix and Drex have a season or two under their belt as well. So I do think that there is a lot of potential here with this roster.
And that's the thing, we talk about coaches so often and their influence. It was always good to hear from Yoshi. He had a lot to say back in the interviews that we would have in Oceanic National Stage 2. Got to get that one right, from 2020. So he was always a really great person to kind of get that insider knowledge and see how the team is actually doing. So it's good that he's still obviously with that team. There were turbulent times there for turbulent. That's a really great way of putting it. Good English. There were a lot of turbulent times for Rhythm over the past couple of months, and we spoke to Drex about it specifically and talking about what it was like kind of coming back and moving between OCL and OCN. So I definitely could foresee them coming in with a huge chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, especially because they did get relegated and they have had such strong performances in the past. It does beg the question, what's going to change this year? They've been given that second win, Rhythm, getting back into the game thanks to Meloncat disbanding. But I remember, if you look just a little bit back and you look at their last season, how many games did they play that went to overtime and they lost? And in the old format, that meant they got nil. Nada, nothing, 0 points, and therefore, we're in those positions in fear of relegations. But 1 or 2 rounds different in each of those overtimes, and they would have been first in the league. Imagine that.
I can't even put that on the timeline, honestly, because it just doesn't sound right. But it is true. That's what happened. And as you were alluding to, back last season, it was, of course, about the. Sorry, I think I muted myself there for a second for you, Dev. We were alluding to, 3 points for a win and 0 for a loss. It's changed now if we go into overtime. And you would have seen that if we were here at the very beginning. We'll explain that a little bit later. But before we get to that, let's talk about map vetoes. Let's talk about where you'd expect us to be heading, Dev. You are my expert. You are the Batman to my Robin. So please, what are your thoughts as we head into this?
Well, we do have that new map coming in, Chalet, with Theme Park going out of the map, and we've already seen it a couple of times in other regions, so that could get a shoe in. But honestly, if I'm looking at Roffle, I don't have a lot of data based on the fact that I haven't seen a lot of their games, and a lot of the stuff they've played in the past I don't have the tracking for that. But as for Rhythm, kind of maps they're going to try and steer away from, Consulate, Cafe, Theme Park was already one of their common bans, so that's easy. It's now out of the pool. And Villa. So I feel like I would love to see a map like Clubhouse, where both teams have had some really good showings. Even Oregon, we've seen both teams have some really good showings on. So that's where I'm hoping that we'll go.
Well, let's have a look. I'm hoping for Chalet, honestly. I really just want to see that. I want to see these two teams and their aggression on there. Oregon is where we head. We've seen 5 maps from RoflCopter, only 3 from Rhythm. So as we start to dissect... What are your thoughts? I actually feel like this is going to be a good map for both of these teams and a good hit out for the first match of OCN.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at RoflCopter's Oregon performance in the past, they've had some good games in the LPL Pro last season, and they actually beat Rhythm on it when it came to that relegations game. It was Rhythm's map pick in the series, but RoflCopter beat them 7-5. So a little bit of a chance for revenge here for Rhythm, because that was the series that ultimately relegated them out of Oceanic Nationals, and they did play Oregon. It's right there on the table and ready for them to grab it and start fighting for it back again.
Fall to the regulation as well, 7-5. That's just insane. A great storyline for us to kick off from. One of the maps of the series that knocked Rhythm out in the relegations now comes back in the first round for a bit of revenge. So hopefully they'll be tidying up any known mistakes, flaws that may come about. I don't want to just jump at the bit here, but 2 new players on either team. I'm not sure how long Bouncin or Hotshot have been on RoflCopter. Hotshot in particular can't have been for too long. So could this just be a map for teething issues for both of these teams? It'll be a good chance, because we're expecting them to, I would say, be on the bottom end of the ladder, 4th to 8th place for both of these teams. I think that it could be a very, very interesting tell so early on to at least gauge where we're at.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of what-ifs when it comes to these two teams, because they've had 2/5 of their roster change between the seasons. So very difficult to call at this stage. Yeah. Even very difficult to rely on results from the relegations, because it was different rosters playing. But what I can say is that both of these teams have some insane fraggers. Both of these teams have some fresh blood. And also, both of these teams have some very experienced players. For example, Leb from Rhythm, and Hotshot, even though he didn't play on Elevate for a long time, he was on Elevate, who ended up being a top team, managed to get top 3, I believe, in the Oceanic Nationals regular season. So he has that experience on a higher level team. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I'm really keen.
Oh, bloodbath. What a way to set it up, James. What a way to knock us off into the first map of Oceanic Nationals. It's Rhythm taking on RoflcopterGG. We head to Oregon. It's a grudge match, and we're expecting a bloodbath. Nothing short of explosive. Let's get into it. Let's get into the Oceanic Nationals for 2021.
Right where the previous season ended, Rhythm and RoflcopterGG, and we're getting straight stuck into the bans. Roffle getting rid of the Thatcher super staple ban. Let's see if Rhythm's going to shake things up a little bit. A Maverick. So Maverick in itself, not a crazy ban, but you know what is a little bit weird when you see both the Thatcher and the Maverick gone down, because suddenly Wall Denial becomes super potent on the defense. You can't EMP to clear out any bandit batteries, mute jammers, kite electroclaws, and you can't Maverick open the walls or hatches regardless. So it does mean that you may end up seeing a little bit of Kali, or potentially teams just forcing their way around instead of trying to breach, because it becomes so difficult. In particular, I'm thinking of that meeting hatch here on Oregon on the basement. You can put an Electroclaw from Kaid in a position where it's just not possible to clear it with Kali or even grenades. And that means that meeting hatch is basically solid, guaranteed for the whole round. So I think that could well play into this. Which team is going to be better at dealing with that?
It's a really solid point to start us out, and we're not going to the basement actually first up, which does surprise me from RoflcopterGG's factor. We're going to head to kitchen and dining. Let me ask you this straight off the bat: do you think that's trying to catch Rhythm out, expecting it to be straight into that basement?
That's it. It's absolutely got to be. Kitchen and dining is inarguably a less defender-sided objective than both the basement and the top floor dorms objective. So if you're picking kitchen or you're picking meeting, like, it's got to be because you're hoping to pull out something a bit unpredictable, and that's exactly what we've got in Boydie playing the Aruni. Now, with the new season being deployed, the Neon Dawn operator Aruni is now able to be played in comp. We also have the Chanker available in comp, which is super cool, super exciting. Flores is currently sitting in his detention little corner while the pros learn how to play him before he's introduced. But I'm curious to see where these laser Aruni gates go deployed, and maybe that'll have a bit of an impact on this defense. Maybe that's the little trick up their sleeve for Roffle.
Maybe the ace up the sleeve. We'll wait and see. The community vote, the Snap Fitness community vote, ladies and gentlemen. 36% of you only expect Rhythm to push through, so very much echoing the sentiments of the predictions from the talent as well. Just be sure, if you want to get involved with that vote, you head over to @Rainbow6 Esports OCE, or sorry, @R6 Esports OCE, or @Snap Fitness AU to cast your vote and to be a part of these predictions. So very much echoing that RoflcopterGG are more so the favored team here. And to be honest, I actually don't have a clear reason as to why. So really interested, my goodness. Okay, that's a good way to start. Nice little cheeky trade.
Yeah, and just almost there, Boydie using that nice one-hit punch from the cybernetic arm of Aruni to see if he could get a cheeky kill, but unfortunately couldn't land those shots. On a Supremacist, that's nice small tower control now for Rhythm, but yeah, as you mentioned, Ghoul going down means a little bit less hard reach available now for Rhythm. Just on Novax, who is actually, believe it or not, Rob, changed his name to Nova9. He's done it. He's embraced the meme completely.
He has just lent into it so much, and we love to see that. Novax obviously is the name and the game, but I think everyone was just starting to troll him a little bit too much, so it's nice to see him lean into that one. I'm going to ask him what he'd prefer, actually, as we start to clear out this utility on site for Rhythm. And slowly but surely, they still need to deal with Campo here, and those impacts are going to delay Rhythm so much in putting any kind of pressure and showers. They do, however, have a little bit of control and a little bit of leeway in dining, but that's all the Selma charges there are. And now they've really only got one line into dining.
Yeah, great stuff there from Campo, but look at the way that Supremacist has just gone in deep into showers. This is a great way for Rhythm to just get around the fact that they didn't have enough hard breach. Hibana went down and those impact tricks made it much more difficult. So they just brute forced it. Took showers, pried it from Ruffles. Cold dead hands, bouncing. How do you survive that? Eventually, Supremacist goes for it. His debut here in Tier 1. He gets a double and Rhythm just clean house.
That is incredible. And what we needed to see from Rhythm, making a statement. If you're Roflcopter right now, you are 100% shaken. There's no doubt about it. You throw them off by going dining kitchen and it doesn't pay off. In fact, Rhythm deal with it on the fly. That's really concerning. And with that, and that was also, mind you, with one of the hard breaches down, one of only two. So, that's a bit of salt in the wound as we head to basement now. And this is where we're going to see what you were mentioning before, Dev, with the the Kaid coming into play in an unmanageable position. No Maverick. Good luck getting that meeting hatch open.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. And no Kali chosen by Rhythm means that they're not even going to try and clear off the util from these walls. If there's wall denial, say it could be one of the mute jammers on the east-facing walls on supply or electrical, it's just not going to get opened. And it does mean that you can viably go for a non-extension hold here on the basement. But it looks like they've actually opened it. This is okay. This is something a little bit different from Ruffle. They're going for an extended roam, and they're using the castle to enable that. Might be a couple of mute jammers to protect their roamers as well. Even that Banshee there. Look at this, and reinforcements. So this is a complete commit to that extended roam. I wonder where the electric claws are then, because they're certainly not going on those hatches.
Wowzers. Really interesting start. There we go. So instead of trying to play what we see so traditionally done is playing from the elbow and trying to initiate a fight. And already Supremacist not wasting any time. In comes the breaching charge and Bouncin is forced to back away for now. Live droning in. Supremacist and Drex are going to start to clear out slowly and surely. Security is now stuck and that's Drex pinching in. That's the way you want Rhythm to be starting out. Roflcopter trying to change things up here. And to little success. However, it's very early and Boydie responds perfectly.
Just look at this pace from Rhythm. They have no hesitation whatsoever. These players are red hot and keen on their gunfights. They're not afraid. Bouncing desperately chucks a C4 and backs on out. The real hard decision now for Roflcopter is, look, we found one kill, but we also lost a player. How much longer do we commit to this roam? How much more time is a victory? Boydie says, I can take down Novakes, and that's a hard breach as well. But he's still staying upstairs, so Supremacists might be able to refrag.
Again, still having to deal with that Banshee that we saw placed in the kitchen hallway here. You'll see now, that will be the alarm bell, and Boydie will just drop away. Perfect timing. They've wasted a fair bit there. However, is it going to be enough? A 3 versus 4. Meeting hatch is open. So to his so to his freezer, rather. Rhythm have a lot that they need to get done, and the time is starting to dwindle away.
This is where it really comes down to Roflcopter have just let Rhythm have the rest of the map for now. They know they have the advantage, so what's Rhythm going to do about it? Only 3 players. What kind of an execute are they going to call for? Pretty low on util if you have a look at overall a couple of flashes. But while it does say 2 smokes in the top left, they're on the ace who's dead, so not going to use them. A couple flashes here on Ghoul. Still 2 breaching rounds from Supremacist, but overall not fantastic. Supremacist, though, going to push in through blue, and it does look like this is a rear push here for Ruffle. Going to collapse very shortly, but Boydie's in a power position.
Sitting behind Harry Potter here, Ghoul, of course, has to make noise here. They're going to look to try to change things
They
up.
don't know.
Supremacists, they've got absolutely no clue how close they truly are. Boydie, he'll at least take down another pillar of this attack. And my word, Roflcopter, they make up for their earlier mistake and they shut down Rhythm in the second round.
Big numbers put up on the board there from Boydie. 2K on the roam. Really clawed things back Drex from Rhythm actually found the opener for his squad, so it was really important for Rhythm to get that numbers back on their side. That was really where Boydie came into it, and sometimes it is just about that mechanical skill and the confidence to commit to that roam, even perhaps past your use by date. And I think that's what Boydie did there. He got the second one in you. Okay, perfect. Goes downstairs and hides in Harry Potter, and well, Roffle aren't checking every single angle. They just assumed it was clear, and Boydie punished them for that.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
I mean, just imagine Boydie doesn't find the second kill or even doesn't find the first kill there, and it all falls to pieces. So that's a bit of individual brilliance considering backs up against the wall. There's no support. The rest of your team have pretty much left you for dead in that scenario. Unbelievable from, realistically, one of the, well, actually, from what I'm aware of, the only player on RoflcopterGG that hasn't played at this level, or at least for some time. So big start his OCN season, and up into dorms now for RoflcopterGG. Not going to go ahead and be bold one more time. But Campo has extended into Big Tower.
A little bit of pressure coming down on the Big Tower side. Nice split here from Rhythm, dedicating 3 players over to take Tower. Leb and Drex to support Gould, getting that wall open. Then, of course, on the other side, Master will simultaneously be taken by the remaining Rhythm players. Campo just teasing out the idea of some kind of pressure. Nice early breach there on the game's wall, but the impact comes through from Boydie, prevents that from being a vaultable hole. Still plenty of Selmas remaining, though, and not enough impacts to stop them. So, good position for Rhythm in terms of the utility game, and good time management while they're at it.
Campo still has that rotate from meeting down the stairs. I don't know how much the drone spotted there. At the very least, they know that Campo's in meeting. Obviously, alarm bells would generally start to ring, and knowing full well there is that flank drone keeping its eye firmly pierced. Gould just needs to be careful not to fall in this scenario. Holding at bay, still being cautious of Campo. This is a very awkward situation to be in. Now they've got to pay all their attention, and he legs it. He's gone. Rhythm are none the wiser just yet.
A lot of good progress, though, from the Rhythm guys. There's that second and final impact. Don't believe there's a proper breach on the wall yet. No, Novakes actually took a lot of damage there from that impact. Has he got another Selma in the pocket he can use to breach that? If not, oh, he's... Okay, this is kind of odd. He's using that breach instead on Attic, and so there's not actually an entry hole here for games, which is where teams would usually push. But Rhythm have a lot of control of Attic, and that does put them in a lot better position. Leb's breaching, or rather destroying those ADSs, clearing more utility off the site. Rhythm 50 seconds. Leb's got a lot of info here as well with the Twitch drone. He could even disable that Banshee as he's done. The question is, will Rhythm activate on this?
Linchpin being pulled. There goes Drex. First kill of the round at the 40-second mark. Leb now going to get through that smoke. Look for the early plant. Don't know how many C4s are left at this point.
Oh,
Boydie being able to take him down through the smoke. Oh, Boydie doubles up. But for his teammate, a huge flank from OJ. And RoflcopterGG absolutely collapse. I think at the end there, that's a 4K for Boydie, including the team kills. So he is going off.
Nasty. He just sees heads and he can't help himself. I don't care whether you're on my team or not. I'm going to spray you down with that MPX. Boydie has certainly been on fire.
That's a very, very intriguing round from RoflcopterGG, or rather from Rhythm, I should say. Had the option of obviously opening up closet into games like you were saying, and at the very least making a vaultable hole, maybe a crouch, a prone hole if at the very least. They look to put pressure on Attic. Kind of felt a little bit isolated, and in my opinion, they got absolutely crunched on. OJ with a really nice read. Now that's something new, a cheeky little clash being brought.
Yeah, a couple of cheeky little things here from Roffle. Not only have you got the clash, but also that FO12 on Boydie on the Ella. That's that automatic shotgun. Dum dum dum. Has a
How does it go,
lovely
sorry?
sound. Dum dum dum. It's like the Cookie Monster from Sesame Street. Just gobbles you up.
I thought it was more like Xenox. Dum dum dum.
Oh, wow. Go hard, Rob. But this is proving to be quite an enjoyable game. Funny, though, that Boydie is the one playing that auto shotty, which is typically a gun that you don't need a lot of mechanical skill for, because it's not, you don't have to go for headshots. So Boydie is definitely a very mechanically talented player. Funny that you would stick him on it, but we'll see what he can achieve.
Especially after what we've seen so early on. A lot of pew-pew, big brain plays. Johnson looking for a pre-prepped, not pre-placed. If Supremacist makes it a little bit more uncomfortable, gets a little bit too close, they will be there and waiting. On the back of this now, Rhythm have a fair bit to do. I don't know if OJ's been spotted yet. We did hear that audio cue, so Rhythm just trying to get a good read at the moment, not rushing things, and taking their time. But this is excellent from Roflcopter.
Well, we've got a moment. I'll just go through some of the names that might seem a little bit different. Leb is Lebanon now, apparently. Drex is DRX. I like Ghoul Leb Mao. So a bit of a little cheeky dig at his teammate. Warm OJ is now just Orange Jassi, I guess. And Hotshot is now hot and sexy. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Oceania.
And of course, Novaix. Can't forget
Nova
Novaix
9.
there. Nova 9. Absolute legend. This is honestly kind of what we want to see from Oceanic Nationals, enjoying it while still taking it competitively, seriously, however you want to kind of adjust to it. So far, it has been a decent game. Boydie really taking the front in a lot of Roflcopter's work. Nice early pick from Gould there. Well, I say early, it's a minute through the round. I just don't see a lot of work being done just yet.
Definitely a slow start here for Rhythm. Quite a contrast to the pace they've demonstrated thus far, but I like it. This is an unusual sight. They need to figure out how Roffle are defending it and make the best decision. Now, definitely an opportunity there for Gould to use his ex-Kairos to open up another avenue. Oh, and there you go. You actually get the Selmas to do just that. Kitchen getting breached open. With that pressure above from multiple Rhythm players, they are completely encircling this Kitchen objective, but time is ticking away. They have that man advantage, and now they need to convert it.
Vertical line being held by Supremacists. This is going to be incredibly hard to make their way in. They use Clash as somewhat of cover.
What?
Boydie again with two massive kills. And all of a sudden it's on. There's a second left for that defuser to go down.
What?
And my word, how have Roflcopter brought that one back? It looked immeasurable, but my word, they're here to play.
And it looked like everything was finally panning out for Rhythm. They took some time to figure out where to push, but eventually they realized, look guys, we've got the top floor. We can take dining. Kitchen is ours. And they started that plant. They had a great position, a 5v3, and they didn't get a single kill from then on. I don't know where that slippery snake came from, but Boydie with the Ella shotgun somehow just appeared as if from thin air in the middle of the objective and took down 2 or 3 players, completely pulling Rhythm apart. And, well, I'm starting to feel like there's a bit of momentum developing here, Rob. Rhythm might have found that first attack, but ever since then, it's been Roflcopter all day.
Couldn't agree more with you. And Boydie just seems to be a very easy pick to talk about at this point. Now, we are going to see that same extension from Roflcopter that we saw in the second round. Was successful for them then. I would play devil's advocate here and say Boydie was a massive reason as to the success of that round. Pushed into Kitchen, found an early trade, dropped back to meeting, found another kill. So whether they're going to be able to replicate any sort of success like they had before, That is definitely the big one for me. And Rhythm, they're wasting no time in approaching, and that's massive. Okay, so they've already droned out that western side of the building, and that's the kill we're looking for from Drex. Huge start again for Rhythm.
Really excellent use of those pre-placed drones from the Rhythm guys, but once again, it's these roamers who are fighting back. Second time in a row, we've seen Drex find an early pick attacking this site, but Rofl definitely fought back there, and Supremacist going down. He has been a fairly instrumental player with some of these entries. I like the adaptation from Rofl as well. Instead of the Valkyrie bounces on the Mozzie to just stall out those drones a little bit more. And despite that, we saw how good Rhythm were with the pre-placed drones, getting control really early of the entire west side of the map. But from this point forward, this mid-round droning, this is where the massive challenge comes in. And of course, that incredibly deadly Viper in meeting that is Boydie.
They're still so hesitant to approach that position. Looks like it's going to be a crunch here. This may be exactly what they need. 1 or 2 from Kitchen, 1 or 2 from Split. They still have absolutely no intel. He's just thrown his drone directly into it. Nova as well. We're going to be able to take down Boydie. That's the one we're after. That is the big player in meeting that has caused so much controversy for Rhythm. And now they can look to approach that site with a little more confidence. There's a knife from OJ right now, though.
It was such an impactful kill, but we've seen RoflCopter come back from a 3v5, 3v4. Shouldn't be too much different. A lot of drones taken out as well for the attack. You can see there's only 4 left in total. 1 in the pocket, 3 in the field. And that does potentially mean Rofl have a chance to make a bit of an aggressive play if there aren't as many flank watch drones.
Oh, geez, how aggressive are you going to go, Bouncing? Nova managing to find yet another in the round. OJ on a very deep line there as, well, big man Hot finds at least one back here, James. 30 seconds left. They need to make it work.
This is totally on Rhythm. They have everything going for them. Great spray down from Novax. And he gets the second as well. Finally, Rhythm break that curse. And they take down RoflCopter on a second attack.
I believe that was a 4K from Novax in the round. So, absolutely massive. That's the kind of player you expect to be stepping up on Rhythm. Does so at an extremely important time as well. 2-3 now. We are going to head and reattempt basement. There's no castle this time. So there we go. Campo's gone for the Valk. And initial thoughts. No Kaid for the meeting hatch either. There we go. Campo's figured it out.
Yeah, last minute decision. I do wonder whether this is RoflCopter on the fly coming up with a new strategy, or whether this is, I mean, it's pretty typical for teams to say, all right, we have our roam strat for basement, and then we have our anchor strat, or, you know, strat A, strat B. You have a couple of different setups, and this is very clearly going to be an anchor-centric setup. A lot of presence around pillar with the Goyo shield there. And if anything, I'm Rhythm, and I look at that reveal phase before the 6 pick comes through, and I'm thinking, hey, this is probably dining. You've got the Aruni, you've got the Goyo. It's almost exactly like that dining defense we saw from RoflCopter in the very first round. But it's a little bit of a debate. They come through and they go for that basement. They go reinforce that hatch. They 6-pick the Kaid. So even that is hidden. And Campo's doing God's work right here, hunting these pre-placed drones. We've seen every single time Rhythm gets so much early map control thanks to those early drones on the west side of the map. Fortunately, Nova did manage to hide his in dining and it didn't get spotted. And they also would know by this point, it's got to be downstairs. They've droned out kitchen. They know it's not there. You pretty easily tell that it's not top floor. And now Rhythm have to figure out, okay, how do we deal with this turtle setup?
One thing I really like is the tempo from them at the very start of these rounds. When they have that information, they are not shy in pushing forward and trying to take these opening engagements. And just like that, they've pretty much eliminated that entire west side of Oregon. Now, granted, you really only have to worry about freezer stairs from there on out, because it looks like Drex is or was, oh my word, okay, was in kitchen, already across a big tower.
God.
And catches the rotate from OJ. Unrelenting right now.
It's the third opener we've seen from Drex, but every single time it's been traded back within the last few seconds. You can see how cautious Drex is on the 90-degree angle. Boydie has been hot fire in this game so far, but even he's not going to contest that.
Just waiting for any kind of information, anyone to peek that. Boydie would be hearing the footsteps around him at the same time, but Rhythm, they are already down half the rounds. Neither hatch being affected. They haven't been able to take freezer control. They haven't been able to get through blue yet. They don't even know if there's anyone at elbow. It looks like Nova's making it work. How have they found that, Dev?
They used the Twitch drone. Leb threw it down and managed to somehow just sneak it into sight and take out that electric lord. That is huge here from Rhythm. One of the massive benefits of this defense objective is not letting that hatch open, and Rhythm have figured out how to counter that.
Now Boydie with his back up against the wall. He's got all sorts of trouble right now. 2 players from blue and 2 from big tower stairs. He needs to hit this first shot, and that he does. Back into the fire and flames. Can he find a second? No. Leb's quick to shut him down, and Supremacists, they're going to continue to push in here on the back of him. An absolute beast, an animal dash. He could make room. Only 20 seconds left, Dev.
Oh, here's Ghoul coming in from Freezer. He goes massive for 2 kills. And now it's all on Campo. In a 1 versus 4, there is plenty of time for this plan to go down, but a C4 could throw a spanner in the works. Nova goes deep and goes simply for the replant. Supremacists to lock Campo back in his cage. And out of nowhere, Rhythm come back for a 3-3 half.
Absolutely massive. Just what Rhythm needed. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a short break, and on the other side, it's going to be the second half. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for that short little break. It gave us time to just have a quick breather, and of course, all of you at home to have that breather too. It's myself, Manic, and Dev Marta joining me for what is the first play day of Oceanic Nationals. Started off with an absolute belter. It was 3-1 Roflcopter's way. All the momentum seemed to be with them. You said it yourself, Dev. Very quickly did Rhythm turn that one around.
Yep, and now we're actually in a TAC timeout. We haven't rehosted the game or anything. This is a team taking a TAC timeout. I'm just going to confirm who it was. But in the meanwhile, you guys can enjoy these replays. Boydie has been hot fire, but a great job from Ghoul. This was really the instrumental element for Rhythm in that final round.
Yeah.
And just to really send home the emphasis of that play in that round, it was the fact that Rhythm came back from, what, 3-1 down to even a 3-3 half. That is massive.
So, seems as though Roflcopter have called that TAC pause, which makes perfect sense, James, after what we've seen from them in the last 2 rounds. You know, it would have been very uncomfortable after they started to kind of have that clawed back. And to be honest, you know, on the back of Noveix with a couple of really massive kills, and like you said, Ghoulbear absolutely dismissing Roflcopter's defense, especially on that laundry side. We know it can be difficult for an attacking side to just have that one prone attack. They managed to adapt, and I would be very happy if I'm Rhythm at this point. What could have been a 5-1 or 4-2 half. They've given themselves so much room to breathe on this defensive side, and by all means, it looks like a little bit more of a traditional setup from them on this basement defense.
Very much similar to what we saw from Roffle when they had that turtle-centric setup leading into that Kaid. But as for the attack, The way that Rhythm dealt with that Kaid and really started to put pressure on those anchors was with the Twitch, that cheeky little pick from Leb. Get that drone into sight, you can dismantle that Electroclaw without the need for a Thatcher or a Maverick, which are both banned. And we don't see that Twitch pick here from Roflcopter, which means they're a little bit more vulnerable when it comes to dealing with those Electroclaws, and they're going to have to brute force this a little bit more, but that's step 2. Step 1 is clearing this roam, and at the moment, Novaix is here. Drex just below on the stairs, also ready to contest. Novaix not peeking too wide there.
I love the buddy system. Always seems to work quite well, and with Novaix backing away, keep his life for now. Drex has also decided to retreat. Zul playing very close on the angle here, looking for the early contact with that SMG-11. Bullets are limited, damage is limited, so he needs to be cautious that he gets one and out, or at least continues to press pause on what this push is about to be.
What is that?
Decision. Oh my word, how is that from Roflcopter? What a response, Dev.
If you've got no idea what to do, just send it. And sometimes that'll work out for you. What a play from Roffle, and it absolutely returns for them. A great double kill from Bouncin. Nice C4 from Novaix will also detonate the Vulcan shield. Just Supremacist and Novaix left, but so much time on the clock for Roffle to work with, and they're using that to drone. Find these last players. Great punishment there from OJ. All on Supremacist. He doesn't have info. A blind C4 goes out. He's put under the pump. There's no way he's winning this one.
Not at all. Not at all. Just a tap for good luck. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we see you now, Supremacist. You're going to have to do a lot more to even bring this back into the realms of something that we would consider to be possible. And with so much time here for Roflcopter, they literally can just sit back, hold the crossfires, wait for him to press. Well, Campo on the long line from Pillar, easy peasy. Tell you what I love about that, and it was the push that we saw around elbow from Blue. It was the Capitao smoke that hit that Pillar murder hole and just completely isolated the smoke or the mute that was in the corner. And like you said, when you send it in, you look for those trades. It can be a powerful force to be reckoned with.
There's certainly a lot of talent on the Roflcopter roster, absolutely no point denying it. You look at players like Bouncin, Boydie, and Campo, they are really stepping up together as a bit of a unit. And it was absolutely that made the difference there for Roffle. These guys are like, okay guys, let's refrag this. We don't necessarily have full map control. We're not going to be able to do this in a methodical fashion, so let's just commit to... I don't want to say a bad plan, but, you know, there's a saying, right? You can have 5 different people commit to 5 different good plans, or you can have 5 people commit to 1 bad plan, and the latter is always better. And, you know, for lack of a better word, bad plan, that is what Roflcopter did just then. They had some of their best fraggers go forth and just try and brute force Blue. It absolutely worked, despite Boydie being the first casualty, and he's the player we were talking about so much when Roffle were on the defense with those massive roam plays. It's fine because Bounce is right behind him with the R4C. He can find the double, and Roffle just continue to steam forward.
This is, you know, the early parts of this round, both from Roflcopter and Rhythm, they have not been shy in gaining that early control. And obviously it allows you to do so from the west so easily when you don't have to worry about too much of the verticality. Gouldo just letting Bouncin know, be cautious. Tread with caution, or we may be looking for something a little bit cheeky here. And this is nice from Roflcopter. 2 minutes in, and they're starting to gain the control they need. Drex could be huge here.
Very cheeky position all the way in tier 3, but he's exploded on that drone. Great information from OJ. He doesn't commit to that peak because he doesn't want to give Drex a chance here. Pre-firing some corners that will also have revealed his position. How hard are Roffle going to press this? OJ is just checking the top floor, so they don't know he's rotated out as of yet. Campo's chucking some utility, and that nade destroys OJ's drone. Now things are getting a little bit more difficult. Meanwhile, Drex has been able to rotate all the way back. They still think he's in the top floor. The only saving grace here is the fact that Noveix was dispatched with thanks to bouncing.
Feel like Noveix had to have either tried to come from meeting or from kitchen there to have lost his life, and maybe looking to, you know, play on the back of Drex, but it's not going to give them the chance that they're looking for. Bouncing with some nice vertical lines now. It'll just ensure that Rhythm aren't as comfortable on site. A 4 versus 5. A minute left. Roflcopter continue to just poke and prod around the site. Drex just needs to be careful not to fall here. Could really spell disaster for the defense.
Great use of the Capitao, locking that player down in the objective. Drex falls. 5 versus 3. This is the kind of man advantage that wins rounds for Roflcopter. With that playstyle, they like to just send it multiple players, but Leb is in a perfect position. No info on him. Could flank up Y stairs. He even has vertical angles. He has to not miss this player. Leb sees him. He gets that flick 25 seconds. And it's all on him and the rest of them to hold down. But there's the refrag. What's Roffle gonna do?
If Leb had been able to survive for a little bit longer there, it would have been a lot more uncomfortable, and that has fallen to pieces. Supremacists now, this could be massive. Needs to deal with the player on white as one in games as well. There's also a player at the back of dorms. Can he find the kill? They're going to be watching tightly. OJ just around the corner. There's 1 down and only 2 to go. That may have been a little bit too close to call.
But in the end, Roflcopter just claw themselves over that line once again. What a massive play from Leb to come and flank up the Y stairs, but he only found one, immediately traded. I think there was a bit of confusion there from Rhythm. They thought Roflcopter were going to commit to that really early push. As soon as they had that 5 versus 3 man advantage, Roflcopter were essentially ready to execute. They could have just started pushing in. They used that utility, they had some smokes in the pocket, but the thing is, they played it kind of slowly. They droned it out, they were doing their due diligence and just preparing. They weren't going to execute without the util. I think Rhythm were expecting that Roffle were already going to make that push, and that's why Rhythm started to overextend a little bit too much. Roflcopter punished them for it, so I'm really liking that, and that's quite a significant lead developing here for the newest team to enter OCN.
And actually, the only new team to be entering, not just the newest, because how long has it been since we've had a new team at all?
Oh, I feel
Jeez,
like...
it would, what, back in Pro League last year?
Yeah, because it was the 8 Pro League teams that ended up... No, we had a new team for 6 Masters. Who was that?
We had LFO, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So
yes.
LFO is the newest team aside from Roflcopter.
Yeah, gotcha.
And we even saw LFO make a splash in 6 Masters and OCN.
Yep.
Their OCN run was really strong. They knocked out Elevate from the playoffs, and their 6 Masters run, they were the only team to take a map off wildcard in the whole season. So we've definitely seen these Zero to Heroes stories for new teams. They come in, they've got some maybe a bit green players, but they certainly bring the fire, and that's absolutely what we see from Roflcopter. Man, there is some talent on this roster.
There certainly is, and I actually think that's the perfect, like, it is almost the perfect analogy to bring forth here is how LFO started, and also the fact that their last season they played incredibly well. They were just very unfortunate some of the results. A lot of the times it was 7-4, 7-5. So are we going to see something quite similar from the newcomers here, a similar storyline? And this would be a great way for them to kickstart their season. Although we are jumping the gun, it's 5-3, and anything can happen for Rhythm. Definitely needing to tighten things up here if they're going to make this work.
This has certainly been an attacker's game. We've seen some great attacks from Rhythm in the latter half of their attack half. And, well, for here, Roflcopter have kept that momentum going, or rather flipped it back on Rhythm and kept it going when they've been attacking. Their attacks, it's got so much teeth, and I think a lot of it comes down to this team is really well in sync, and they also have really strong players individually. They're not afraid to go for these plays. In fact, Drex, so keen for this jump out. Is OJ even
Yeah.
slightly aware of it?
I don't think so. I completely unaware in that position, or although it would seem, and Drex may just have to fall back here. It's going to be an awkward rotate if he tries to go through the big window. Too much information. Leb as well needs to be careful. His feet are getting hot and sweaty. And that's a big one from Boydie. The C4 as well. That could have been huge. Really well done from Hotshot.
The elevation standing on top of this little step meant that he could shoot over the shield even though Ghoul was crouched. And look at the bodies hit the floor in Attic. Hot now has a great position, 24 seconds left. What's the execute gonna be?
2-for-1 trade. Novix is looking close on the line. Finds one. Can't get around the corner. The game's in time, but Supremacist finds a trade. Campo goes deep and bouncing backs up. An excellent round from Roflcopter once again. These attacks are looking devastating.
They just haven't stopped moving, Roflcopter. Ever since they hit their attacks, those propellers have been spinning in full force, carrying them all the way towards match point 6-3 against Rhythm. Let's get a replay here and have a look at that. Bouncin has just had such a good game here as well. The refrag on his teammate and cleaning up the final one. And once again, these people on Ruffle, these players are walking highlight reels.
I could not agree with you more. Could not agree with you more. You could almost point to every single player so far for Roflcopter, and there's one moment, 2 moments, 3 moments that they have stepped up massively. Starting to definitely look like an MLG highlight reel for a lot of them in this matchup. The compilations, so this is maybe for some a little bit more unexpected than others, and it's such a beautiful story for Roflcopter for it to kind of be complete, right? There's many of these players. I think, James, you said there were 3 ex-Rhythm players that have kind of made together the Roflcopters. It's a merry band of misfits that have come together, and they are getting some sweet, sweet revenge.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there were a lot of people out there who, after the relegation, said, man, Rhythm was so close in that final game, and they'd already beat Roflcopter. Like, did Rhythm really deserve to get relegated? Did Roflcopter really put them in their place? And, well, if they didn't do it then, they certainly are now. Rhythm haven't even been able to get a look in on this half. Not a single defense win on Oregon across 3 rounds. This is their chance to change that and push for that overtime. They can still get the 2 points at the end of the day if they can push hard enough. But Roflcopter, I don't think they're going to stop. This momentum, it just keeps on building.
Ghoul very quickly just rotating out as Kaid. Supremacist just sits there for a second, watching that elbow, ensuring that the timing did not catch them off. Now, this is a huge point to make. Ghoul's being forced to use 2 smoke blades already in blue, and is shortly going to be forced to back away if he's not cautious. There's the 3rd and final. So when push comes to shove, they don't really have a lot of that denial that potentially they could look to play with. However, they have bought nearly 1 minute and 20 seconds from Roflcopter's attacking side.
Full turtle strategy. Here comes the execute. Bouncin and Boydie once again go in together. But it's only Hotshot who falls. That is, however, the ace. And that makes things very difficult. Elbow's been completely reinforced off. And the Hibana's not going to work over there either because of the fact that we have that Kaid in play. OJ trying to cook something up here on the single wall, but things are looking difficult now. Roflcopter might have the ground they want, but they've got a player down, and they don't have the utility to open up more avenues into their site.
And their time is slowly dwindling away. 3 players so close to each other there for Rhythm. One grenade could have caused all sorts of problems, and they are starting to open things up now. They have control of Electric. As they start to inch their way in, they are going to go for the planter at the very least. They're going to try to bait it out, James.
And so he tries, But he falls back. Boydie goes down and out now. Nova, what's he doing? He goes for the swing, but he just whiffs. Goes again with the pistol for more. What on earth are we watching? It's all on Campo. And Rhythm finally get back in the game thanks to Novaix and that disgusting play with the RG-15.
What a frustrating position to be in for Roflcopter there. You think you've got everything, you've got time to work with, you can try to bait out C4s. I think it was Boydie who swung, who was taken down close to pillar there. But this from Novaix, when are you ever going to expect this, Dev? When on earth are you going to expect him so close and willing to take those engagements? Still staying alive, mind you. A very unfortunate round, but some heroic plays from Rhythm.
It really is funny because Roflcopter actually did a lot of things right. You know, I was critical early on. I said, oh, there's no way they can clear that electric claw. They also lost the first player. It was actually Novaix who tossed that C4 out blue and took down Hotshot, the ace player. But the great thing is Roflcopter just got straight back on that horse. They retook control of blue. They got themselves electrical and pillar as well. And then they used a grenade from the Yana to clear off that electric claw from the supply wall, and rotated their Hibana over to use at least some pellets. Maybe not as large a hole as they would have liked had the ace still been alive, but at least it's a line of sight to utilize. Unfortunately for Roflcopter, Rhythm were a bit uncontainable, and plays like that from Novaix just make it so much more difficult as an attacking squad to keep going and get back on that horse. But here we are now. Rhythm started their trek back towards overtime, but let's see if Roflcopter lets them into it.
Oh, that is a perfect way of putting it, Dev. For me, it does come down to Roflcopter allowing Rhythm back into the game. Because although you may have been critical early in the round, there was still so much that they had to do to get to really claw that back into a more comfortable matchup. You know, in 4v4, starting to push into electric, and now we're going to see the exact same thing here. Roflcopter cannot allow Rhythm to get comfortable. They can't allow them to find their own rhythm on their defense and really take that momentum, swing it back into their direction, because there are so many players there. Novaix, Leb, Drex. If they start to get on a roll, there's no stopping.
A lot of risk here taken by Rhythm to go this less favored objective dining, but they just had no success on dorms. Good progress now for Roflcopter, but still no control of showers as of yet. I really like that they love this Capitao. Not an operator you see every day, but they've used the fire really well to displace defenders, anchors, and also the smokes for execute. Plus he's got the hard breach charge, which is not to be underestimated. Let's see. What's the communication going on here for Roflcopter? They're trying to figure out the best way to deal with this. Finally, is that the final breaching round gets rid of that shield, but Nova does lose his life for it as he pushes on back.
And now you're going to see so many open lines. OJ, be careful of your feet. There are sharks in the water, my friend. And look at Leb right now. That drone gives his position away. Had he have continued to push up, there are 2 or 3 players that may have been in his crosshair. For now, they're just going to have to continue to find and isolate him. There we go. Leb gets taken down. OJ's playing out of his mind.
Might have been troublesome, but Roflcopter have, again, a man advantage. They have a strong position, time ticking away, plenty of it left. The execute once again comes in, and here's Hotshot going in deep. Thanks to the smoke from the Capitao. What a beautiful use of utility. Boydie follows it up with another, and now it's all on Drex. What a difficult task ahead. In the 1 versus 5 on match point, staring right down it with the Jaeger. This is going to have to be massive, and I don't think it's going to happen.
You could add any kind of context that you wanted here. Drex, there's absolutely no chance. What a way for Roflcopter to take the first map of their OCN debut. My goodness, that's what we're after. An explosive start here for stage 1 and a 7-4 victory in the pocket.
A warm welcome to RoflcopterGG to the Oceanic Nationals 2021. What a stellar performance. And what a showcase of raw talent on this roster. That is a team that plays together. They look like they've been playing as a squad for so long, despite having a fairly new roster coming in. That experience is shining through, and man, what a pleasure to watch that aggressive Gusto playstyle.
And what a perfect way to summarize it. There was just so much going on there for RoflcopterGG. And it's something that we're going to love to keep an eye on, especially as we get a little bit deeper, especially as they start to play better teams. Are they going to keep that kind of play style? You saw Boydie with so many rounds of huge heroics, OJ in the end there, kind of clawing them across the line. I think it was 2 opening kills in that final round. So this is really, really great signs from RoflcopterGG. But let's look to the Rhythm camp for a second here, Dev. What are our initial thoughts?
Honestly, I really loved some of their attacks. Yeah, Rhythm had struggles when they were attacking the roam game of RoflcopterGG, but there were some really great moments from them. Really strong early entries. Drex in particular had some good luck on those. But yeah, definitely the path ahead is fairly grim for them. Only managing 1 defense across 4 or rather 5 rounds on Oregon, that is incredibly challenging and something that Rhythm are definitely going to have to look to.
They were the issue for me now is, you know, that was RoflcopterGG coming in, I would say was probably around 6th to 8th place. You know, I think, well, I know you don't have them there, and especially after this performance, I think a lot of people will be putting them a bit higher. But, you know, when you put all the stats out and you have a look at it, the fact that they are stepping in with this new roster, I think there was a lot to go on to kind of force them down the lower half of the ladder. So that is a game that for Rhythm, they need to be taking away. You know, things like games against like Bliss and LFO, those are the games that they need to be winning, or at least pushing to, as we were saying, overtime. We didn't really get to talk about overtime, and thankfully we didn't need to go to it there. But overtime is now 2 points for an overtime win and 1 point for an overtime loss, which for me changes the whole game. I think Rhythm was one of the teams last year that had 3 or 4 overtime losses, and even those points would have been enough for them to not even be in relegation. So the implications are quite massive.
Absolutely, and for RoflcopterGG here to start so strong, it's super impressive. And it's not just that they cheesed it and have really strong players, like individually, mechanical skilled. Yes, that is totally a large part of it. Players like Boydie and Bounson can really hold their own, and they had some good multi-kill rounds. But you look at some of those attacks where they had a 5v3 man advantage, and you look at the way that they took that extra time to drone out. You look at the way they brought Capits out every single round, and just that beautiful execute. Fire in the mid-round to try and gain ground, and then smokes for the execute. I mean, that is some old-style Siege. You don't see many teams that play like that anymore. So I, for one, welcome RoflcopterGG. They are an absolute pleasure to watch. They've got the brains and the brawn.
You're welcoming our new overlords for Oceanic Nationals. Well, I'll tell you who we will be welcoming. It's Boydie, the man, the myth, the legend that had an incredible debut in the Oceanic Nationals. Boydie, welcome and hello. Let me ask you this. That's your very first game in the Oceanic Nationals. What is it like for you guys to be able to take 3 points away so early?
We weren't really expecting anything else, to be honest, out of the game. We relegated Rhythm late last year, and then we pinched their best player. So it wasn't really much a question for us. Just whatever round difference would be, to be honest.
Oh, James.
Listen to him. Just listen to him. Boydie, now you mentioned Bounson, that player you pitched over from Rhythm. Now you and him are on the entry together. So many times I'm seeing you guys arm in arm go forth. What's it like? Tell me a bit about what the team comms are like when you guys just like, yeah, let's just go kill him.
To be honest, we just got a lot of confidence in itself, just simple call-outs, whatnot, or individually better than the other team in this case. So it's like not much to be said. Just go out where they are, and then they're usually dead.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I love this confidence from me, Boydie, and I think that it's a really great hallmark for a season ahead. I think, but let's have a look at the overall season for you. What are your thoughts? Where are you looking ahead? We had you pinched around, you know, the 5th to 8th mark, but these kind of signs we never know. They could be looking at the top 4. Where are you looking to go?
Yeah, we're pretty confident we can make top 4. Question after that is whether or not we can break into the top 3. Like we don't see much competition coming from what we saw with them tonight, and then Bliss and LFO wildcard, unfortunately, is in pretty poor form right now as well. We couldn't take their spot in the top 4.
I'd love to see it. James, do you have any final questions?
I just want to know how it feels to play on the big channel, Rainbow Six Bravo, and are you feeling excited? Is there any nerves there whatsoever, or are you just keen?
Just keen. Not really any nerves. Just confidence. Nothing much to say.
You show it in the server. I love to see it.
You certainly did. The server can speak for its own results, mate. 12 kills, I think, was on the board for you. They're incredibly impactful rounds, and I think I'm really looking forward to seeing what you can do. Any final words before you let you go? Friends, family, fans out there?
No, not so much. Just keen to see what will come.
I mean, to be honest, so are we. We're extremely... I think you've got our attention. I'll say that, Boydie. You have our attention.
Yeah,
So best of luck, and we will see you tomorrow for your matchup.
Yes. Cheers.
Bang, bang, bang. What a way to start. Dev. Woo. Big game.
Yeah. I think Specca's got some competition for the biggest ego in the league as of now, which is something I'm very excited to see. I really want to see these players with big personalities start to clash. I mean, we got to get something going there.
100% we do. And I would love to see Specca and Boydie go at it. I think that matchup, Order and RoflcopterGG, I think we're going to have to get both of them on the interview to hear the trash talk that will come out from both ends. Because Specca, we all know what he's like, but we've just been given a snippet, just a tiny little sneak peek into what Boydie's like. And of course, RoflcopterGG, I think he would speak almost for the whole team there. They did seem to be extremely confident in the server. You know, you were talking many times there. I think it was Bouncing and Boydie just shoulder to shoulder, running directly at the entire team, and so much damage being done. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to bring. One thing that I was really worried about heading into this, I don't know how you were feeling, but Deptra, who obviously had an incredible relegations playoff with RoflcopterGG, left the roster. I thought that was going to leave them wide open.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Deptra was, aside from Nazgul, the highest player for rating and KD. He was also the second highest entry player, the second highest cost player. Yeah, no doubt Deptra was a massive highlight player for this team.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to be doing so badly without him. This roster looks really good. And the thing that stands out to me about Roffle is, yeah, we know Bouncin and Boydie are nuts, right? They're going to go swinging. They're going to be winning their ones. They're going to be getting multi-kills. But there's a strong backbone to RoflcopterGG. We saw OJ on that support, also hot as well, doing really well on the support. And I think that having that backbone to the team is the key. You can't just have those strong fraggers. That's like the icing on top of the cake. You got to have the cake as well.
That's you do have to have the cake. You need the foundation. You need the skeleton of the team. And by all means, their makeup is looking pretty dangerous. Pretty dangerous. What are we thinking? I mean, I actually, from that game alone, I'd be pretty keen to see them go against Knights on Oregon, or I was going to say Akami, but Order on Oregon, because both of those teams, Order and Order and Knights, there we go. I got it out finally. Those two teams, for me, are kind of like the benchmark in terms of how you play Oregon and how you kind of dictate the tempo and the pace. Is what we saw enough from them to warrant, excitement when we head to that kind of matchup?
Yeah, well, Roffle are definitely a strong team on Oregon. They've shown that tonight. It was Order, right? Back when they were Akami, they self-proclaimed best team in OCE on Oregon. That'd be a great game to watch. That would be a great game to watch, Roffle versus Order, because Boydie's got a lot of confidence, but so does Specca. So I want to see that one, and I think on Oregon it'd be really tight. Yeah, I think that Roffle probably won't get to play Oregon against teams like Wildcard that maybe are feeling a bit more shaky on it. They'll try and take them somewhere else. Yeah. But yeah, maybe Order or Knights. I think that would be a really good game. And there is just such a large part of me that thinks that the more experienced team will take that, but I'm totally open to being surprised by RoflcopterGG.
Well, that's exactly what's kind of happened to us. We've been surprised by RoflcopterGG, an incredible result for their debut in the Oceanic Nationals. We're only just getting started tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That is 1 of 4 games. We're going to go to a break, and on the other side, Elevate and Knights.